Welcome in, everyone, live on the crowded booth as not the typical setup, but Ralph and Will are here, and it is just about that time as we get ready for the college football playoff quarterfinal round. We're going to preview the games. We're going to talk about the best Christmas gifts we got, that and more on tonight's episode of the crowded booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The crowded booth with Bryce Koon.
Well, welcome in, everybody. My name is Bryce Koon, alongside Will Manis and Ralph Leary. The lighting could not be worse in this hotel room, as I literally look like I'm 12 feet away from the microphone, and I've got the TV back here behind me just to provide some type of light. But welcome in, nearly almost Happy New Year. So hand clap to people as we get ready for 2025. And John Burns already in the chat, telling people to make sure they give money. Yes, there we go. That's good stuff. We'll start off with Will. Will, how has bowl season been treating you? What's been your favorite bowl game? What was Christmas like for you? How's it been? We haven't talked in quite a while.
Bowl season has not been good. With my in-laws, every year we do bowl picks, and I am bringing up the rear as if as if I'm a rock dweller. It's not gone well picking games, but that happens sometimes. It's a weird era to be picking bowl games in. I think we're showing that I was a pre-transfer portal merchant, you could say, after winning back-to-back years, and now I'm heading towards the bottom. Christmas was good. Christmas was very good. Got some great gifts, a lot of clothes. But I'm at the age now where clothes is probably the best thing you can get me.
What was the number one gift? I think I know what it is, and I think Ralph knows what it was. But
I'll show you what it was.
All right, go ahead. We'll see you in a second. Hey Ralph, how you doing, man?
Hello, dude. Sorry, we could continue.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was.
That's exactly what I thought it was.
That's sick.
It's basketball season, dude. What do you mean,
Ralph? What brand is that?
Basketball season.
What is that? It's oh god, what brand is that, Will? Hanes.
Gildan.
Interesting.
Clean.
A Goodwill find.
Oh,
that's sick.
Who got you that?
Coco got it for me.
Ah, gotcha. Gotcha.
I don't know who.
That's
where's the hoodie? The hoodie is downstairs. I don't feel like walking down there to get it. But I also got a orange Peter Millar hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
Big fans of Peter Millar. Great brand. Great brand. Ralph, what about you, man? You don't have to work till 10 o'clock anymore, so that's nice. You're out delivering presents on Christmas Eve.
I was, yes. Yeah, it's been a eventful Christmas, obviously. Probably the busiest time for me. Pretty kind of underwhelming, bowl season for me. I really haven't watched it much because I've been working all day. I think the first bowl games I watched was Saturday.
Yeah.
Like full through all day. And I think I fell asleep during the last one because I was just so tired. Gift wise, I mean, I got a lot of good stuff. I had a really cool. We do white elephant in our family.
Do you have it nearby?
I do not.
Okay.
It's not nearby. It's a miniature, actual like arcade style Pac-Man game, and it's like handheld. You can play actual Pac-Man on it. It's really cool.
So it's very hard to play.
It is very hard to play, but it is fun. Yeah. It's pretty cool though. The sounds and everything is just really cool to have. That and then the obvious gift right here.
Oh yes. Mine's downstairs.
Is it broken again? Did I break? No. For people who don't know, Will's broke as well. So,
why did Will's break?
I swung it like a baseball bat, and I didn't even hit anything. I just literally swung it, and
it hit something on the impact. Though I tell you that
it hit something on the impact. That's for sure.
But I fixed it. Okay,
you fixed it. Congrats! Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that you fixed it. For me, for Christmas this year, it was really more of like stuff for the baby. And now that we've entered this time of where like I got some interesting gifts. I I got some really interesting stuff. I got a Polaroid camera, which I'm just not really, I mean, we'll see what I'm going to do with that. I thought about bringing it out here to Houston and like trying to take some pictures from the sideline with a Polaroid camera. Could you imagine like a bang bang play? Just like making sure I can see if I can get the shot. I don't know. So it's like it can't even be rapid fire. I mean, I don't know how that works. But got that, got some clothes. Like you said, Will, I mean, we're at the age now where it's like it's clothes. And anything you really want, I'm gonna be honest with you too. Anything I'm going to buy for myself. That's what Hillary, my wife, tells me. She's like, Bryce, you literally buy everything for yourself. So I don't know. It's hard to get you anything.
Yep, I hear the same things.
Yeah,
I did get my sister did get me like a little back massager and heating pad combo. Great gift.
because Ralph was on the IL for quite some time. What a quality gift. Shout out, Rachel.
I don't know if I can get like over here. It's right here.
Wait, pull that up to the screen. What is that? What if Ralph just fell out of the chair? That would have been wild.
That would have been wild.
Okay, so it goes.
It's like a massage on the back.
Yes.
And it's also a heating pad too. But I guess it attaches to like a chair. You put it like wrap it around the back, I guess, like that, and it attaches to like, your chair and stuff. So
that's crazy.
Actually,
that's absolutely crazy.
W gift from the sister. I got her, and she in return she got a cooking book for dummies from me.
No. She got a crock pot book for dummies, which is just the book itself is stupid. I don't understand how you would even need a crock pot book for dummies. But
shout out to Rachel. She is sick though with the flu, so hope she gets better. She's probably not watching, but yeah.
My grandma needs that. Can you send a link in the Discord? I love that. Gavin in the chat already. Shout out to the Dirty Noog. Gavin spent the weekend there. Roast infested Airbnb. Camcorder will work for that. Is Mo's dead? He also asked. We tried to go get some smoked wings, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of smoked wings. That's all I know.
Well, smoked wings are good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, kids and coaches, let's dive into the games on the docket as we get ready. Now, there's going to be some other bowl games. Obviously, I'm in Houston here for Texas and LSU Baylor. Texas A&M USC was kind of interesting the other night. I couldn't quite stay up to watch the end of that one. That was kind of a back and forth game. Interesting enough, USC bookends a disappointing season with SEC wins in the same stadium. They beat LSU to start the season. They beat A&M. I'll ask this before we dive into the games. Is there who's the most disappointing team you're just disappointed in and how their season ended? A&M for me, I think that's pretty disappointing. Like, I'd be disappointed if I'm an A&M fan by losing that bowl game, because I do think bowl games matter to a certain extent. I think A&M's up there. Will, what about you?
Bowl games don't matter if you lose. They only matter if you win.
I'd say Miami right now. I mean, that was you had easily could have won that game with a quarterback. This is going to be a talk for years to come with how Cam Moore's situation went down in that game. I get it. I do. You're a potential top 5 pick next year, and you go out and play a first half. You do great. You break a record. You sit down at halftime. You're done. I mean, my friends talked about today. They agree that it's really crappy. That's how he went out. They think he should have played the second half. I'm on the fence with, I get it. You're trying to save your career, your future. There's the big what if, like, what if he gets hurt in that second half he plays, and he loses a ton of money in that situation. So, I see both sides. I do, but in my opinion, I think it's a bowl game. It's time for these young guys who don't get to play very much get the chance to play. That Emory Williams, they thought he was going to be really good. He only threw the ball 4 times the entire second half.
Less than like 10 times. I know that.
I mean, it looked like they just didn't trust him to throw the ball. Which, I mean, I get it. He didn't play all season long. Yeah, and stepping in a bowl game against a very good Iowa State team, who was, I think, everyone on the team was playing. So,
what's their quarterback's name? Rocco Becht. Is that his name?
Yeah. Rocco Becht's a baller.
Shout out to my wife's uncle. Made himself a pretty penny by betting the over on that one. And he did say he uses Bet Online, which I'm not sure how, but he did it.
Let's just say this. Iowa State's got some pretty gritty quarterbacks when it comes to, the past few years. I mean,
one playing right now.
Yeah, Rocco Beck, and then you got Brock Purdy. I think Beck took over for Purdy when he left. I thought that's how long he's been in college for. It feels like.
I want to go back real quick to the Cam Ward situation before we move on to Will's pick. From what I understand and reading some stuff, that was an agreed upon thing by the staff and Ward. So if they knew that going in, it does kind of change it. Now, for fans, it might suck. But like Malik Neighbors last year in the ReliaQuest Bowl, played the first half, broke a record he wanted to break, and then that was it. So if it's agreed upon, I don't have a problem with it. If it's a personal decision, I get why they're doing it.
Yeah,
I'll
but
say
this
that.
is the Pop-Tarts Bowl, man.
I agree.
I mean,
Pop-Tarts Bowl's elite.
It's the most important non-playoff game of bowl season.
Dude, you can't say that. The Birmingham Bowl's the best. Also, Ralph just ran away.
Well, you said it, not me.
Yeah. So let me finish this chips and queso.
Which one do we want? This one?
That one's good.
This one. So my disappointments. I have two. One of them's season is not finished yet, so they can prove me wrong tomorrow night. I guess Bryce is getting a phone call. It's LSU. Had a ton of expectations coming into the year. Now, if they can knock off Baylor, win their bowl game, it makes their season look a whole lot better. I just think LSU, a lot of expectation on them, and they didn't live up to it. And my other one, it was a tough first year in downtown Atlanta for Del McGee. I got to say Georgia State. Great on the recruiting trail. I think that's what you have to take away. Bryce is on FaceTime.
Who's he on FaceTime with?
I don't know.
Is he on FaceTime with his daughter?
No.
That's fine. Yeah. No, what?
No. He was on FaceTime. I hope.
Oh, he's
and
gone.
he left. Completely left.
Are we
but
talking about
Georgia
teams
State, not good enough
disappointed?
in the wins and losses.
You're telling me that Georgia State was your disappointing team if you picked them to be better than everybody else? Because that's what you said, apparently, Will.
I didn't pick them to win any games. I just thought that they might be better.
If we're doing disappointing teams, also, I mean, I can name a few. I truly think that Ole Miss really was. I mean, I picked them to easily win 11 games this year. They had a chance. I thought they had a really good chance to beat Georgia this year. You lose to Kentucky in just a pitiful performance. You know, the loss to LSU is understandable, acceptable because you lose in overtime. It's a tough place to play down there.
Even the loss to Florida.
Well,
on
at
the
that
road.
point, I guess they didn't care anymore. It seemed like they just didn't give a crap about that game, and it hurt them in the long run with that game. I thought, having Trey Harris hurt all year long for them obviously hurt them because you're relying on some receivers who are good and respectful for other teams will be the number one receiver probably. But when you don't have Trey Harris, your offense is diminished because you're relying on these 2 and 3 guys who are good, but like I said, are not there yet.
I imagine you guys are talking about Ole Miss right now.
Yeah.
Have they played yet?
No.
Who do they play and when do they play?
They play.
We don't know anything.
We don't know nobody. They're not in the playoff. We don't care. They're irrelevant.
True.
If you're not in the playoff, you're not even good. That's what I've heard.
They play Duke on the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
That
Disgusting.
shall be interesting.
On Thursday.
Alex says, my biggest disappointment was GT. They should have gone 17-0. John Burns says, I was at the Birmingham Bowl and it was not as advertised.
What do you mean by that?
You mean like the atmosphere?
Have you been to Birmingham?
You never been to the Magic City?
No, don't say that now. Tech fans don't like when they call it Magic City over there.
Is what it is, man.
Look, if
right.
we're gonna talk about that game, we need about an hour and a half to get through that.
Shout out to Cyclone Amaya's Tex-Mex Kitchen here in Houston for fueling the show tonight.
Gotta be racist.
Well,
butchered that.
Talk about Auburn. How much time do we have?
We've been going for 15 minutes. I don't think we've said anything. Good queso though. Got some stuff in there. Okay.
Gavin, what do you want to know?
Oh.
Do you want to know about the potential legal action?
Oh boy.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm out of here. I don't know anything. Someone made a phone call apparently.
A lot of people made a lot of phone calls.
Just
Hey,
what
Jim Moore
Morris
came out and said it
yeah.
today.
And John Summerall retweeted it.
Okay,
It's not tampering season.
let's talk about tampering. Let's start off with that, right?
Okay.
I was talking with a
It's been going on for years.
I was talking about it with two people today. Current coach and a parent of a player on the way over to Houston today. And my big question here is how do you even begin to regulate something like this? To me, there's so many backdoor channels. There's so many different ways to get around everything. And I would say this, like if you're dumb enough to use your school issued phone as a coach, okay. But there's so many backdoor channels. A lot of these kids, and especially in today's society where you have a lot of 7-on-7 is very prevalent in the spring and the summer. So a lot of these kids have interactions. I mean, I've said this, I'll say it publicly, like now that they're both committed. So like there was a time when LSU wanted to go get Caden Salter. Okay. They were going to and did try to utilize CJ Daniels to go get Caden Salter. How do you regulate that? So I'll start with you, Will. Like I don't, outside of like your egregious tampering.
Yeah.
I don't know how you regulate the player to player interaction, and you've allowed agents to speak on behalf of players to teams way before they enter the portal. Once again, another aspect of opening Pandora's box. I don't know how you pull back on this.
Well, you can't stop player to player communication. I don't think that's a road you even want to approach.
Yeah.
But you can certainly curb the agent talking to schools. You can have like the NBA a couple of years ago in their recent CBA agreement, they have what they call the legal tampering period, where you can negotiate, but you can't sign until whatever day. So I could see that happening. I mean, from, maybe the day after conference championship games until the portal opens, you can speak to agents or you can speak to whoever on behalf of players, but you can't communicate coach to player, staffer to player until the portal opens. But that's the thing. There's no rules. So these coaches complaining kind of just makes me roll my eyes because there's no rules. You complain about there not being rules, but you continue to let this happen to you. Why don't you go and do the same thing? Is my point. I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game. You should hate the game and still utilize it. I mean, it just kind of makes me roll my eyes.
I had a player's parent tell me today that, like, for example, Jim Mora's public statement or whatever you want to call it that he made, he goes, no, nothing will ever come to fruition.
Exactly.
Because the second that something like that happens, let me paint a hypothetical for you, okay? Let's say a certain head coach doesn't care for a certain staffer at another school, and there's mutual feelings of not liking each other very much. And let's say that said head coach wants to try to investigate said staffer on other school for poaching one of their players. Well, here's the problem. If those two people had crossed paths before, let's just hypothetically say that said staffer used to work for said head coach, they can then front them out. And you would create this massive, I don't even know, just convoluted situation. Yeah, it says say their names. But you'd create this massive situation of where I don't know how you could ever do anything with this. I don't think any of this will ever come to light, honestly, because all a staff or recruiting staff or anyone has to say is, well, I used to do it for you, and here's player X, Y, and Z of who we got and that was in direct violation of said tampering. So it's going to happen. And that's also, to throw this to you as well, when colleges hire high school coaches for liaison or high school coaches for certain positions, it's done with this in mind. So that's my thought. Ralph, your thought, I mean, what do you, I don't think it can be regulated. I mean, I don't know what you could do here.
No, I mean, It's been going on for years. Why you can't stop it? It's not going to be stopped. I mean, you can't. There's no workaround to make this where it's a good way to do it. I agree with Will though. The agent talk can be instantly stopped. I think that's the only thing you can stop, because the player to player one it can't be. You know, even player to coaches. I mean, you know, you transfer to another school, you still got connections with those coaches. And you know, and they're transferred out. You know, they still talk to these coaches. They still talk to their former teammates, and those teammates transfer out. They hit the portal. They're probably calling that guy like, "Hey, man, do you like it there? I heard from them so far. You know, it's going to happen. You know, and you can't stop it because you know you say, you know, you're tampering with our players, but no, your player reached out to us. That's not tampering. That's a guy just reaching out to us. You can't stop that. If a player reached out to his former coach who's at a different school, you can't do anything about that.
Also, too, do you not think these people don't talk to each other?
All year
That's
long.
my whole thing too. Exactly. Like if you're really close with a position coach and he goes elsewhere, you don't think that it's like there's any lines of communication. There's just no way to regulate it. And I think people who want to cry about it, it's ridiculous.
And most of these players, you know, a lot of them make a lot, like, especially small school guys. You know, they're going to end up at. You know, I know Bryce always likes to talk about when we bring up like our teams will. But when Tez Johnson hit the portal from Troy, I could have told you immediately what school he was going to end up at.
Could you have sources?
No. He was going to go to Oregon because that's where his brother played for. And if you didn't see that coming, you were blind, because that was the most obvious. Bo was obviously recruiting into the Oregon. He was telling the coaches, bring him here, because he was a great receiver at Troy, but was he a top 5 receiver in the country to go to Oregon? No.
Well, and there's also instances, Ralph, of like what we just saw with Darian Menza, right? I mean, no contact tax. I mean, if that's not the definition of tampering, then I don't know what is.
Exactly.
And I'm not blasting the kid for making the decision. I'm just saying that that is what it is. The last thing too, and I'll point to this, and we'll get to the games. I want to ask you both about this, and whoever wants to go first can go first. What about when a coach leaves? So Indiana makes the playoff run, had a ton of James Madison players on it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think there's some type of conversations or some text message or some phone call, hey, let me take you out to dinner. Hey, I'm taking the Indiana job. I want you to come with me. Hey, I'm taking this job. I want you to come. That's happening. Is that tampering? Is that because, I don't know. I don't know.
Or your assistant coaches who are going to go with them, and they're talking to the players like, yeah, I mean, I might be the interim. I don't be the interim coach at the end of the season, or when he takes the job, but I'm going to. You know? And he's telling those guys that. I mean,
telling his position room that.
Yeah,
and there's negative recruiting by other coaches.
Yeah.
Like evidently, coaches were telling Auburn recruits that Hugh Freeze was going to retire. Which Hugh Freeze didn't even know where that came from.
That's cap.
Okay.
So that's happening too. I mean, that happens too. And, another thing about coaches and players talking, like, these coaches build relationships with players. If they're having a tough season, maybe not playing as much as they'd want to, it wouldn't surprise me if, like, I'll use an example that's going to make some people upset. Eric Singleton was a Western Kentucky commit. If he was struggling to see the field at Georgia Tech, I would imagine the coach recruiting at Western Kentucky might shoot him a text of encouragement, right? That's probably how a lot of this starts. I don't know if that happened or not. It probably didn't happen, but just to use an example, I know he was committed somewhere and decided to go somewhere else. So he has a relationship with people, with coaches at different places.
You know who his position coach at Western Kentucky was?
Nope.
Gavin does. Josh Crawford.
Oh, Georgia's running back coach?
I don't know, man. It's a Pandora's box. I don't know how you really do anything about it. I don't think it can be stopped. I do agree with both of you. You can put some type of guidelines that you'd like to see. So we'll see. Just like College Football 25. Exactly, Alex. You're on the right page. Okay, let's talk games. 25 minutes in, we hadn't talked anything about them. Let's do it. Boise State, Penn State, the first game on the docket. The Nittany Lions favored by 11. Yeah, per our good friends at Bet Online, use code BELIEVE50 to get a good deal for you and to be betting responsibly this season. Look, I'll start this off by saying this. I do think to a certain point, Penn State's offense is waking up in the maybe not in the way that you'd like to see Ohio State or Oregon or something like that, but I think they're showing they can win you some games. I think it's a game where Boise State's going to have to control the clock if they really want to win this one. Ashton Jeanty, look, we know what he is, but I mean, look, this is the best, arguably top 3 defensive front in college football.
I think it's the best front seven Boise State will have played all year.
Fair.
Including
fair.
Oregon. And Oregon's front seven is very good, but I think Penn State just maybe slightly better.
If is the game plan, and like we might sound simple-minded here, is the game plan is simple just to sell out and stop Jeanty and make everyone else beat you?
Yep.
Because I don't know if they can. And I think that might be Penn State's MO in this game is like, unless they start to beat you over the top, unless Drew Aller just has a game like he did in the Big Ten title game, I don't really know I don't know any other method to win this game if I'm Penn State. Suffocate their run game, limit his explosiveness. He's going to get his, but if he ends with a stat line of like 175 yards, you won the game. Like I think Ashton Jeanty would have to have like a 300-yard game to be able to win this game because I don't know if Boise State has the horses to keep up with Penn State for a full 60 minutes outside of that.
I don't know if they have anyone to
Do
cover
they have
Tyler
the Broncos
Warren
to compete for 60 minutes?
What'd you say? He say something about horses and Broncos?
Yes.
I said, do they have the Broncos to compete for 60 minutes?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if they have anyone who can cover Tyler Warren. I mean,
ooh, game changer.
I just don't think they do. I mean, the guy, wins the tight end award this year. Obviously, there's backlash with that one. Harold Fanning should have won it. I don't care what people say. It was
played a real school. Played for a real coach. Actually, it's been 12 years, and I still have hard feelings.
Well, we know what he's made this about.
Yep.
Gavin knows.
Look, it comes down to I think Penn State's just going to run the ball. I don't think I don't think Drew Aller really needs to do a lot in this game. I think their offensive line is going to have enough push up front to cause issues for Boise State. I don't know if Boise State's defensive line can really compete in this game. I still think Jeanty has a good game. I mean, he has not been stopped all year long, even with Oregon's defense. And he's got 3 weeks of rest, 4 weeks of rest. I think he's this is what he's needed. And a lot of people saying that momentum carries, but football's a little different. Rest helps out a lot. And plenty of film. I'm sure they've been watching enough film. This team, they're a great coach. They got a good quarterback. I think Maddox Madison's been great this year. Kind of an underwhelming season just because of what Jeanty's done all year. But 3 interceptions, is been a solid year. He beat out a 5-star quarterback. So I mean, I love Boise State this year, but I just don't know if they have like you said, the horses to compete in this game.
I've got a question for both of you on this, and Will, I want to hear what you got to say because what is the opposite side of this look? Because it's going to be really easy, and you can listen to any podcast and click on anything you want when you talk about this game, and any preview episode, it's going to talk about exactly what Ralph talked about. It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it. That's pretty much what you're going to hear anywhere. Tyler Warren, can they guard him? Does Drew Aller, like I said earlier, can he be efficient enough? And does his defense suffocate him? Will, I want to ask you this, and maybe you didn't want to go here, but I'm going to make you go here. What would it look like for Boise State to win this game? Like, what has to happen? Do we have to see something that we haven't seen before, or can Boise State come in with their game plan and impose their will? Do you think they can impose their will on Penn State?
I don't think they can impose their will on Penn State, but if they want to win this game, they're going to have to air it out. Like Ralph said, Maddox. Maddox has been a good quarterback, obviously getting none of the headlines because he's got the best running back in the country behind him. But, I think if he has time to throw it in this game, there's opportunity there to throw for 250, dare I say 300 yards. And that's what they're going to have to do to win this game. I mean, they're going to have to air it out. You look at Penn State, they're built to dominate the lines of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And they do that against teams that are not built like them. Teams that are built like them also have skill players. That's why they've lost all these big games. They don't get the skill players that Ohio State and Michigan have gotten. Right?
Yeah.
That's been their Achilles heel. So I think they can just impose their will on Boise State and just kind of roll over them. But when you've got a player as good as Ashton Genty is, that's going to create problems. So Boise State will be able to put up some points in this game, but I don't think it'll be enough to cover that 11 points.
All right, so Will's taking Penn State minus 11. Ralph, I don't remember if you gave your actual pick against the spread or however you want to do this here. Do you think Boise State covers that 11-point spread? And that's as of obviously here on Monday evening, December 30th.
2007, no one believed they could win in the Fiesta Bowl. Not saying it happens, but I do think they cover. I got Penn State winning, but I think Boise State can cover this game. I just don't see Penn State putting a lot of points in this game up on them to really just blow them out of the water. Now, I mean, I said that about Oklahoma, Tennessee, or Ohio State, Tennessee, so I'm obviously going to be wrong about this probably, but still, Boise State's got a good team. I think, like Will said, Madison's been, like I said, underrated season,
Solid.
Overlooked, but I just don't know they have receivers to really kind of beat the secondary. So that's where I think they wins this game. This defense is too good. They'll stack the box 8, and the teams have done it all year, and he still runs for 200 yards. So.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's going to really have to tackle well. I think that's going to be a key thing here, too, is that if they let Genty run wild, this might be weird. Boise State might be the only team in the country that could get into a shootout by just running the ball. Because he's a home run threat, right? Like, I mean, if you don't tackle well, he'll take it to the house, and it puts your offense right back out on the field. And then you have to match him. So, interesting. I mean, Ralph, I'm going to lean your way. I like it. I think Penn State wins this game. Can Boise State play the ball control game enough to keep it within 11 points? I think they can. I'll say this though, the idea of Penn State will change drastically if they blow Boise State out. Should it? Yeah, maybe. But if they blow them out and take care of business, then man, whether they face Notre Dame or Georgia in the next round is a lot of people are going to be high on the Nittany Lions. So Boise State, Penn State. I've got Penn State plus. I got Boise State plus 11. Ralph's taking Boise State plus 11. Will's going Penn State minus 11. But I think we're all leaning the Nittany Lions to end up with the win here. So next game on the docket, as we roll into New Year's Day, welcoming 2025.
Texas and Arizona State.
Arizona State, Texas. Longhorns a 12.5-point favorite. Well, I'm going to let you lead off with this one, man, because we were talking before how Ralph hopped on. You kind of like the Sun Devils in this spot just to cover, or are you taking an outright win? Okay, all right. Well, so
just to cover, I mean, I like their chances, but I'm thinking back to that first round. I was like, man, am I just going to blindly take the underdog on these big spreads? But no, I think Arizona State. Their playmakers on offense, Scatabo, obviously the running back, number 2 running back in the country behind Genty. I think it's at least in the playoffs at minimum. And Sam Levitt, the quarterback, that kid's a gamer. He puts his body on the line, makes some dangerous throws sometimes, but they've worked out for him to this point, winning the Big 12. If this could turn into a shootout, if Arizona State can keep scoring. I know Texas has a really good defense, but I really like Arizona State's offense. They've been balanced all year. They've been really good, and a banged up Quinn Ewers has shown how human he looks, and maybe even, dare I say, average has looked in a lot of games.
Yeah.
This year, so he's should still be dealing with that ankle. It's one of the nastiest ankle injuries I've seen. Obviously, he's played through it all season, but it's really hurt him and really hurt that offense from being as explosive as they could be. And they're going to need some explosiveness against Arizona State. I just believe in Kenny Dillingham and what he's done this year with that team, and watching those players, the way they play for him. I'm never going to count out the Sun Devils, but I'm gonna lean Texas to win this game, but Arizona State to cover that 12.5.
All right, Ralph, go ahead.
Well, I agree. That ankle injury is the reason why I think they can cover. because it does hinder his ability to play. And you saw that against Georgia, you saw it against Clemson a little bit in some spots. The thing is, if he goes down, I'm pretty confident Texas still has a great quarterback. I still think Arch Manning's done enough this year to show me that he can still play out there and compete, and just step in whenever he needs to and play. But as Will said, yeah, Cam Scatterbo's the second best running back in the country, right behind Genty, and I don't think there's anyone who can stop him. He's a big human being. These guys play for Dillingham fully. They play with a lot of heart, a little grit. Sam Levitt said out there the other day, he's going to prove that he's the best quarterback on that field. He's getting a lot of doubt in this game. Dillingham, their team got a lot of doubt this year. I mean, if we had done a preview, we probably would have doubted them too.
Yeah,
honestly.
Weren't they picked to finish last?
Picked to finish last.
In the Big 12.
As much as I've been on high on Texas, I do. I think Quinn Ewers has been great this year. Obviously, he's been banged up and has been. There's some games where he's just been real crap, but I still think he's a good quarterback. I thought he looked great against Clemson. Quintrevion Wisner, I think how you say it, I think. He's shown some really good spots this year. Running back Jadon Blue, obviously. Gunnar Helm's a great tight end there also. He's one of the most underrated tight ends in the country. I'm going for the upset. I'm going to Arizona State.
Ooh, outright.
I think it's a close, just grudge match. I don't know if it's, I think it go into a shootout. I think Arizona State just wants this more than anybody else. They just want to show to everybody that they deserve to be here, that they earned this spot. They deserve this 4th seed. They deserve to, they want this. Dillingham's got this team where they want this more than anybody. I don't know, man. This is the only game I feel like a team can actually upset somebody. Arizona State's just been doubted all year, and then they've proven everyone wrong. And that conference championship game, they showed out. They showed out big, and then that was the last time we saw them play. They blew out Iowa State. So I'm going Arizona State in the upset.
Quinn Ewers, if he makes mistakes, it's going to open the door. And we've seen him play. Ooh, I want to be careful. I use this word, scared. I feel like in some big moments, just hasn't felt comfortable. I mean, obviously the clip went viral in the SEC championship game of him had a receiver open on a flag route and just completely overthrew him. There's not a lot of touch on what he can do, and a lot of that is probably due in their 2 losses. The 2 losses they have are to a front 7 that you can say what you want to say about Georgia. Their defense has gotten after them. Arizona State's going to have to create some pressure against Quinn Ewers to get there. Can they do that consistently? That's going to be a big one for me. Like if they can create consistent pressure, then you're going to see, like Ralph said, you can see the Sun Devils win this game. The other thing I wanted to point out is the Cam Scatterbo conversation, because no one stopped him all year, but Texas's defense is very, very good, very good. They're 13th in the country in 3rd down and 4th down success rate, and I believe they're top 10 in the EPA per rush. So they are very, very good at what they do.
Somebody saw Stats of War preview.
I didn't see that. I don't even
really.
I really didn't see that.
Throwing out his numbers.
No. So there you go. So that's something that when I look at this, once again, Will's calling card. God, we need to make a T-shirt or some coasters or something. Stats don't tell you everything, but they do tell you something sometimes. That's something I'm going to look at is Scatterbo against the defensive front of Texas. Is that something where if we see through the first quarter and a half, fellas, there's no push. They're not getting a lot going on. That could be a warning sign, because I don't think Arizona State can afford to get down too early in this game. I'm going to take the Sun Devils to cover. I think it's going to be a close, gritty, hard-fought win for Texas. And I think this is one the Longhorns really need to have, right? Because if you're Arizona State, and I'm not saying the fans for Arizona State shouldn't be excited. You went, 3-9 last year, picked dead last in the conference of the preseason. You turned around to an 11-2 season, and you get a bye in the playoffs. This program is awesome. My dad's watching. He said if ASU can hold the ball for 34 minutes, then they will win. That's his stat right there. But when you look and see kind of where the Sun Devils bring this attitude of grit, determination, like Ralph said, I mean, they play for Kenny Dillingham. You don't just turn around 3-9 to 11-2, regardless of what conference you're in, if you don't love playing for your head coach. I think that matters a lot. But on the flip side, with Texas, if you lose this game, and Will and I talked about this last week, I think Steve Sarkisian's under the most pressure. That was just my personal pick in the playoffs because you don't have a marquee win all year. Like, you really don't. And I'm not saying that if you beat Arizona State that it's like this weight's lifted off your shoulders of, oh, we finally have that marquee win, because, look, brand value is just not with Arizona State right now. They've got to have something to put their hat on. I think Texas needs this one more than Arizona State does. If the Sun Devils win this one, which I do believe they're capable of doing, a lot of questions, in my opinion, of not whether you're going to fire Steve Sarkisian, but just where are we at in this program in terms of being able to win the big game. It could be a kind of a situation that we see a lot of. I don't want to say roster turnover or coaching turnover, but they got to find the right recipe in that side of that building if they lose this game. I'm taking the Sun Devils to cover this at 12.5 points. I think the Longhorns win, but I think it is going to be a very tough football game. Now, you can clip that, and the final score will be Texas 45, Arizona State 13, and we'll all look like idiots. But that is what it is. So that's my pick. All right, game number 3. 4 total games on the docket. 4 teams will be eliminated, and 4 will move on to the semifinals, a rematch of a game earlier this year that, guys, it feels like it was so long ago, but this was a really good game. It was also the game where we saw Dan Lanning emerge as one of the best cerebral-minded head coaches in college football with one of the craziest things where he allowed the guy to be the 12th man on the field. Just nuts stuff. Ohio State's favored in this one by 2.5 points. This one's in Pasadena, that 5 p.m. Eastern kickoff of the Rose Bowl. It's going to be beautiful, majestic. You kind of get the old school Big Ten Pac-12 game here out there on the West Coast. So we'll start with you again here. We talk a lot about it's hard to beat a team twice. Washington did it to Oregon last year, once the regular season, once the Pac-12 title game. The Ducks trying to do this again, where they narrowly beat Ohio State at their home place. This is going to be a good football game. I think it really is. Ohio State proved a lot of us wrong, especially the guy over here with the Troy flag behind him who called him soft last week. But, it is what it is. What are your thoughts on this game? Ohio State a slim favorite.
I don't know. When I first saw that number, I immediately thought to take Oregon. They beat them once already. It was a really, really tight game. I'm going to take Oregon again because Dan Lanning has been on the flip side of this. Like you just said, Washington beat them twice last year.
Yeah.
I have more trust in Dan Lanning to, based off of that experience last year, to learn from that and figure out how to beat the same team twice. That I could not have said that probably worse. And Ryan Day, I don't have a lot of trust in Ryan Day in big games. Finally won a big game.
I said that same thing last week or 2 weeks ago, Will.
Well, it was a home game. This isn't a home game.
Right.
I think that was the big difference. I think the environment really is a big reason why Ohio State won that game. Tennessee, came out kind of shell-shocked. Tennessee probably thought they were soft too and got hit in the mouth. Mm-hmm. And everything that happened, it just kind of spiraled for Tennessee. That won't happen again this week. Ohio State can come out and hit Oregon in the mouth. They're not gonna hesitate. They're not even gonna take a step back to brace themselves. So I like Oregon in this game. I like Oregon to beat Ohio State again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Oregon is a well-rounded team, well coached, very veteran savvy team. You got a great quarterback, good running back, good receiving crew. The defense has really played well all year. Just kind of, they show it when the time is needed. They don't have to play a full 60 minutes of great football. They just show up when they need to, and they make big plays in the end of the game. Offense, Dylan Gabriel's been just very, very, very good.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong with him this year. I don't think he's shown a game where he's just kind of looked bad. Jordan James obviously ran the ball very well, just a very underrated season, just good 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. Just don't really care that he does that this year. The big issue for me is I think Ohio State has the best receiver right now. Jeremiah Smith has shown to everybody this year that he is so good for just an 18-year-old. He's not 17, guys. He's 18. The 17-year-old is playing in the Reliable Quest Bowl. The 18-year-old is playing Fortnite. He's playing Fortnite on a big screen and riding roller coasters. This is a good matchup. I'm glad we get to see this again. I actually, I'm gonna say that again. I hate that we're seeing it this early in the playoffs.
Agreed.
I wish we could see it one more, like maybe the semifinal game. But I'm glad we're seeing it again because in a neutral site, this is where I wanted to see the first place. I think this game should have been a neutral site in the first place. But this is almost basically in Oregon's backyard. Almost. I mean, they've been here before. They know this stadium pretty well. I think Oregon's got a good chance, and I think they're well rested. They're not missing very many people right now. Ohio State's offensive line's still banged up. It's not 100%. I'm not sure that Oregon's. I don't know if Oregon has a big injury right now. And off the top of my head, I can't think of one. I'm going to Oregon. I think they win this game. I still think Ohio State shows up the first half. I think it's a close, like 17-13 first half. And I think Oregon just kind of glides away in the second half. Just kind of pulls away and win it like 31-20, 21, 24. So
I'm taking Oregon to win this one. My big thing in this one is Tennessee just did not exploit Ohio State's deficiency along the offensive line. Ohio State has a guard by the name of, and I'll make sure I get it right, Donovan Jackson, who's being forced to play left tackle due to injuries. Tennessee could not take advantage of that. Dr. Bob also mentions that Jordan Birch did not play in that first game. He's going to be playing in this one. I think that's a big piece to a puzzle, and a Oregon defense, guys, that leads the Big Ten in sacks per game, just a tad over 3 sacks per game. I think they'll be able to get to Will Howard to the point where Howard can't just sit back and do what he can do and what he did against Tennessee. I don't think they're going to have the luxury of doing that in this football game. The second piece to this is when you go back and look at that game and the pressure rate and some of the pressures, it was Ohio State that actually won the battle in the trenches against Oregon, which is something we didn't know if they'd be able to do. They did that. But the reason Oregon won was because of Dylan Gabriel's playmaking ability. He made a lot of plays out on the run, being able to extend the play, allow his big game receivers, to be able to make some plays. And so, can you do it again? I think that they can. And I think that getting Jordan Birch back for this matchup is huge. I think Oregon will exploit the fact they have a guard pushing out to play tackle. It's not really comfortable for them. Tennessee couldn't do that. So I'm going to roll with the Ducks to win this one outright. And guys, I mean, I know it's been so long since we did our kind of full preseason shows. This was my national championship game. So, Ralph, I do echo with you. I wish this game was later in the season, or I should say later in the playoff season, at least a semifinal game, because I think there could be an argument made here. In terms of talent on paper, this might be the most talented matchup you're going to have throughout the rest of the playoffs. You could make the argument. You could split hairs between, I think, these two teams and then Georgia, just strictly on paper in terms of what you have from a roster construction standpoint.
When you talk about money construction, yes, absolutely.
Very much so. Very much so. Phil Knight and then whoever Ohio State's boosters are very well equipped to build championship rosters.
LeBron
All right. The final game on the docket is one that I'll be at inside the Superdome.
You're announcing that now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'll be inside the Sugar Bowl, Georgia, Notre Dame.
You got the spread wrong.
Oh, I did? Is it Georgia?
-1.
Georgia -1. Look at that.
God. I had it ready for everybody, and they were just.
I got it. Don't worry.
Just failures over here. I'll start this one off.
All right, go ahead.
Georgia's always had issues with mobile quarterbacks. This one, I just don't see it. Riley Leonard's a great quarterback. I thought he's had a terrific year. He had a great playoff game, and then some pretty horrible weather.
Brutal weather.
But this is the defense that just pins their ears back, and they go after you. CJ Allen, linebacker, man, has played a great year. Michael Williams, obviously Columbus native. Terrific season. Been banged up, but I think he's finally healthy this game. The secondary's played pretty good. They've had some spots where they've kind of messed up, but I don't think this Riley Leonard's passing game is really going to be a huge effect to them. Look, I like Georgia in this game. Offensively, it's the big question mark for Georgia, but their defense in years past have always carried them. Gunnar Stockton making his first start as a Bulldog, and probably the biggest game of his entire career. Calling on a guy who played high school football, broke many records, probably the all-time total yards.
Don't say that.
Total yards. Oh, he is total yards, though. He gets almost 5,000 rushing yards in high school. So, but either way, one of the most spectacular high school players in Georgia. Now playing college at Georgia, and he has done. He showed some grit in that game, taking that shot right there at the end of the game, and got right back up, and he was ready to play the next play, but helmet flew off. Carson Beck comes in, hands the ball off, and they win the game. I like Georgia. I think they can run the ball well better this game. I think Broderick Robinson might be playing this game. I don't know if he is. Have not looked at their practice team or schedule what they've done. But it comes down to Georgia's run game to me. I don't care. I'm sure Aaron Fowler will not watch this.
Clip that. Somebody clip that.
Please do.
We do not care.
We do not. But it comes down to Georgia's run game at first. It always has. But Gunnar Stockton can run the ball. He can. He's shown it. He lowers his shoulder. He can take a hit. But this is I like Georgia in this game. I think they win this. We've seen this game the past few years. Was it 2018 the last time we saw this game?
2019.
2019
at Sanford Stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this matchup. This is a matchup where both teams are almost similar now, but I think Georgia wins this game. I think they're better coached.
Will, you want me to go or you go?
I'll go.
All right, do it.
I mean, obviously, the big question mark is how's Gunnar Stockton going to play in his first start, being a playoff game in the Sugar Bowl. But I think he's going to do really well because this is Mike Bobo's quarterback. Mike Bobo has been recruiting Gunnar Stockton, was recruiting him to 3 different places. South Carolina, got him committed to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been waiting on Gunnar Stockton for a while, and now's the time. When Gunnar Stockton came in that game, the SEC championship game, nothing changed for Georgia offensively. Nope. So he knows the offense, obviously. So I don't think there's going to be much drop off. When Mike Bobo became the offensive coordinator, the offense didn't change. It's that Todd Monken offense that he built it around Stetson Bennett. So
yeah.
Gunnar Stockton, his physicals are more similar to Stetson Bennett. So we'll see. Is this what that offense looks like? Does it look like a 2-time national championship offense, or does it not? Does it look more like it has all year with Carson Beck at quarterback? But really, it's how does Georgia react to Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, this rushing attack from Notre Dame? It's one of the best in this playoff field. Probably the best tandem quarterback, running back, rushing attack. Is Riley Leonard 100%? He had a banged up shoulder for a lot of the year, which is why he ran the ball so much. But he's good at it, so it doesn't really matter. If he's fully healthy, Georgia's going to be in a lot of trouble. If Riley Leonard's shoulder is 100%, this is going to be a shootout. I think Georgia's going to have to score with him. But I'm going to take Georgia. Same reason that Ralph said. Riley Leonard runs well, but he's not the fastest, right? But he's very good at running. The speed at the quarterback position is really what gives Georgia defenses trouble. Leonard isn't the fastest guy on the field, so they should be able to contain him. So I'm taking Georgia in a tight, close 4-quarter game, maybe even overtime game. It's going to be close.
When you look at the recipe to beat Georgia, it's really just been having that not just mobile quarterback like you guys talked about, but explosive quarterback. And that's the reason that nobody in red and black can seem to solve Jalen Milroe and what he does. Riley Leonard isn't close to what Jalen Milroe is as a runner. It's not even really close. I mean, that's how – I know it hurts to say this, Will. It doesn't hurt to say this. You acknowledge this. He's a specimen when it comes to running the football. Passing, whole different conversation. So I think Riley Leonard can make great decisions. I think Riley Leonard can do a lot of things that help you. I don't think Riley Leonard wins this game for Georgia or against Georgia for Notre Dame. I don't think that Riley Leonard is going to just come out here and light the world on fire. Now, I think Jeremiah Love is one of the most explosive backs in the country. And, I know you guys talked about, Scatabo and obviously Genty. I think Jeremiah Love can be in the conversation, just in terms of what he could do about one of the better backs in the country. That 98-yard touchdown run he had against Indiana is the type of home run threat that he could have in this game. You combine that with a Notre Dame defense that has only allowed 20-plus points in 2 of the 13 games they have played all year. Now, look, I'm willing to listen to the quality of schedule. I understand that. But it's still a defense that under Marcus Freeman, that's his bread and butter. They've been very good. When you talk about Georgia in this game, both of you guys mentioned it. I mean, it really comes down a lot to the fact, do you believe that Gunnar Stockton is the better option for a championship than Carson Beck? Not because you get to choose, but because you have to choose. I think there's a sense in this game of, I think Stockton's the better option. I don't think he's the better talent in terms of God-given talent. I think that when you watch these guys play, I think Carson Beck has the better arm talent. Hear me out. Arm talent doesn't mean precision, accuracy. Just in terms of throwing the ball down the field, I think Beck's got the bigger arm. But I think with what you get with Gunnar Stockton, and you saw it in the game, if you go back and watch that SEC championship game, they really, really, really were galvanized when he came into the game. It was just something different when Stockton came into the game. And, I think Georgia's also a team that doesn't have to be predicated on their quarterback having to shoulder a lot of the pressure. They have so much talent that it kind of felt like, and we talked about this all season, fellas, like Carson Beck felt like he tried to do too much all the time. Georgia's not a quarterback-driven program. That's just not who they are. So when you turn on the tape, you turn on the roster, whatever you want to look at, there's talent everywhere. If Stockton can act as that point guard in this game, make some good decisions, and not make the bad freshman mistake, I think they can win the football game. That being said, I'm going to surprise folks here. I'm taking Notre Dame to win this one outright. I really think that this Notre Dame team is playing some of its best football right now. I understand Indiana was not a great opponent in terms of how they matched up. I just think that in years past, you had to have a ridiculous quarterback to go beat Georgia. This Georgia team has some deficiencies. They've got some shortcomings. If they start out slow, this is a game where I think Notre Dame might be the best built team to play Georgia outside of Penn State. I like Notre Dame's offense maybe a little bit more than Penn State's offense. I think Ryan Leonard can make some smart decisions. Jeremiah Love could break off some big runs. I'm taking the Irish to win this one close, but I do agree with kind of what Vegas says here. This is probably the closest game on paper that when we're looking at this. It could go anywhere. It wouldn't surprise me to see either way, but those are just some of the things that kind of stick out to me in that one. Any final thoughts on what we said there? There's that too. I mean, one guy drives a Lamborghini. This guy drives his grandpa's.
Who do you want playing
pickup.
quarterback? I want the guy driving the old box style Ford. Okay, that's what I want.
That's a long bed too. That's no short bed that he's rolling right there.
No, sir.
I love it.
I know someone who'd be very happy to see that as a long bed. We had him on the show a long time ago.
I don't know who that is.
Our friend over there at the old Bryce podcast we all used to listen to.
Oh,
Josh
yes,
Brown.
yes. What an
Mr. Rhubarb.
Will, any final thoughts?
I'm never going to beat the allegations. That's my final thought.
I have one thing I want to say.
DGD.
If Arian Smith can catch the ball, Georgia wins this game.
Do you know that Arian Smith's actually been their most productive receiver this year and pretty clutch? But people just want to continue to magnify his drops so that he sucks, but they don't watch the whole body of the work of the season. I've realized that. I went back and looked at some stuff. It's ridiculous. Yes. Ken Hendricks.
I do remember Arian Smith running the wrong route against Alabama.
Yeah,
and then dropping a touchdown pass. That's what I remember.
And dropping 3 against Georgia Tech. That was wild. Ken Hendricks says that man broke the passing record in the state. The national narrative that he wins primarily with his legs is funny. I don't know if it's a national narrative with the legs. I think his ability to use his legs makes him better for this Georgia offense, if that makes sense. That's my take on it.
I will say this. Georgia high school football is very good, compared to the rest of the country. 1A Georgia high school football is a long way from the Sugar Bowl, from the college football playoff. I'll say that.
Did he play 1A? Is Raven County 1A?
No, he was 2A when he was in high school. When he was there.
Okay, well, 2A is a long way away from the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's going to win the game, but all this talk about what he did in high school, I think is irrelevant.
I think they love playing for him. I think he galvanized. I'll be honest with you. I think he resonates with the team a little bit better than Carson Beck did. And like, I don't think it's I don't think this is far off to say too. I don't think Carson Beck was a fan favorite in that locker room. I just don't think he was. I think if you gave some anonymous opportunities to some players, they'd be like, yeah, but you have a guy with a 1984 pickup pulling in. That's a Georgia boy. Like, that's who that is.
About the guy, you got one guy that drives a Lamborghini and dates a TikTok star.
Yeah. So
how does offensive lineman feel? They don't have a Lamborghini.
Well, it's a big telling for me in that. They do it. It's a fun podcast. Tate Ratledge and Georgia's punter. And Ratledge, I saw a clip. He was talking about. He goes, "We got fired up when he came in the game," and I don't think that was a shot at Carson Beck. But what I do believe it to be is that he's earned some keep with those guys, and that means a lot this time of the year. I'm still taking Notre Dame to win outright, but I think it's gonna be a really good football game, and I'm excited to be in the building. So, all right, that's about all the time we have for tonight here on a Monday night. We'll be live again on Thursday night, recapping some of the games as we talk about our reactions to what happens. And then we get set up for the Final Four, and then, college football season will literally be over after that. It's bittersweet, but we're going to talk more. We're going to have some great content coming out all spring long. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check us out on all those major platforms as well as thecrowdedbooth.com. That is Ralph. That is Will Maness. That's Ralph Leary. My name is Bryce Koon, and we will see you next time here on the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.